Hello my friends and welcome back to Slay the Spire 2. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing the Silent in the brand new patch, which received reworks and changes to several of its cards, so I wanted to check those out. And I also just completed my tier list for the Silent, so I wanted to do a run and show you what it looks like to put the information from that list into practice in an actual game. Let's go ahead and jump in, and we'll see what we get offered here. Fishing Rod, every 3 normal combats, upgrade a random card in your deck. This can give you some value over time if you're planning to take a lot of non-elite fights. Now, unfortunately, taking a lot of non-elite fights is the easiest way to lose in Slay the Spire 2, so I think that this incentivizes you to do something that you generally don't want to do. Scroll boxes, I'm not a huge fan of either. Because you'll often get some pretty weak cards that you're forced to take, or non-synergistic cards that you're forced to take out of scroll boxes. Silken Tress can be very powerful if, of course, you get something that's good to have Glam on. Now, obviously, any card with this very powerful enchantment is going to be great, but often your first card reward is something that you don't particularly care about replaying. It's going to be like an early game combat card. If we get something like Deadly Poison or Noxious Fumes, of course, then it's going to be great. But this is a pretty weak set of Niao rewards. I think it looks like we're going to an early shop most likely, because this is the path that lets us not take too many fights and have to do a bunch of hard mode fights. So I don't really want to spend all my gold. I want to keep it for the shop. So I think this is going to be a scroll boxes setup. Okay, so we have an option between Footwork, Piercing Wail, and Cloak and Dagger. And Cloak and Dagger are a relatively mediocre card, but both Footwork and Piercing Wail are excellent. Or we could take Calculated Gamble, Flick Flack, and Defend. These two, of course, go together. Flick Flack is a decent card. Deflect, rather, not Defend. And Deflect is okay, but I think this is a pretty clear left-hand pick. Piercing Wail, a decent defensive card for the early game and stays relevant into the later game. Cloak and Dagger is kind of bad, but it's okay to have one relatively weak card in the deck in order to get 2 excellent cards. Footwork is one of the best cards for the Silent, so we're going to go ahead and pick that up. And looking at our pathing here, I think it's a pretty clear path to do something like this, and again, just avoid as many hallway fights as possible because we don't want to take too many from the hard pool of enemies. Alright, let's go into our first fight. Now, the Corpse Slug fight is always a little bit difficult for the Silent, but we can go ahead and play Neutralize, Defend, and Strike here. And then here I can Survivor is 6 block, so I can go Strike, Survivor. We don't get to play Cloak and Dagger if I do that, but it's still more damage than playing Cloak and Dagger and Defend. So we'll go Strike, Survivor. Discard one of these cards. Now, what I would have liked to be able to do here is wait one more turn before killing this one, because next turn, this enemy is going to do its debuff, because they cycle through their attacks. And when you stun them with the Ravenous ability, they always are going to repeat the action that they just took. So, in this case, this Corpse Slug is going to do just one big attack. That said, I don't have enough block I am far short of having enough block to be able to get away with stalling for one more turn without taking a ton of damage, so we're going to be better off just killing the enemy, stunning, and preventing as much damage as possible. Now here I have 2 defends, and I can just do defend, strike. Survivor would have worked too, but it's more clicks. Then the enemy's going to do its debuff, and we can go ahead and end the fight here. And a 0 damage Corpse Slug fight is really nice. It's fairly hard to get a 0 damage Corpse Slug fight, so very happy that we managed to do that. Alright, so in the first card reward screen, we have Dagger Spray. An AoE damage option is good, although the slugs are one of the enemies that we actually want that for, so it's a little less attractive since we just fought them. Outbreak, we don't have any way to apply poison. You usually should not take this card before you have poison application, but an Untouchable is very good. We don't have easy ways to discard it except for Survivor, but those, of course, will be a very high priority, so we're going to go ahead and add that to the deck. Then we're going to this shop. Even with only 100 gold, the worst that happens is that we just remove a strike, and if there are cards that we think are more powerful than that, we can always buy them. Two very strong cards available here. Master Planner and Equilibrium are both excellent. Retaining cards helps you set up for Sly, and Master Planner, of course, creates some of the most powerful decks for the Silent by turning everything Sly. It's best, obviously, in long combats. Right now, I don't have... I have a fairly large deck already, which incentivizes me to remove a strike, because we've already added 4 cards to the deck on floor 3, which is a lot. I also would love to take Equilibrium here. It's very good for the Silent. This is an interesting spot. I think you can't really afford to take Master Planner when you have no Sly outlets right now, because we already have a couple cards that, like, Untouchable needs us to have a Sly outlet. We have a few cards that are just not that great by themselves, Cloak and Dagger and Untouchable. So I don't want to add too much more in the way of cards that need to find specific other cards. Equilibrium is very strong overall, just a generically really powerful card, though a little less necessary because we already have added 3 defensive cards to the deck, Cloak and Dagger, Piercing Wail, and Untouchable. So I think here I'm just going to remove a strike, but you could make a good argument for either of those 2 purchases as well. Then we're going to go to this event. All right. The Fresnel Lens is really strong for the Silent. In particular, this is excellent with dodge and roll, because you get the +2 block on both halves of the dodge and roll. So I think I will take this. Losing max HP, of course, is bad, but it doesn't cost us any actual current health. And this is such a powerful relic that we're definitely going to pick it up. Now, an interesting decision here. I do want to take 3 hallway fights. And if I do this path, then we're only taking 2. I guess I could take a third if we haven't encountered a random fight by going to the right here. So I'm going to skip this hallway fight because I want to take exactly 3. And obviously one of these question mark rooms could contain a combat, as this one did. Let's start with Neutralize, Footwork, and then we'll go with Defend and Strike. We'll get sludged here, but fortunately, I have plenty of block, thanks to Footwork being excellent. This turn, I can go Cloak and Dagger, we can play the SHIV, we can play Strike. Piercing Wail is just worse than a Defend in this fight most of the time, because we have Footwork in play, so I think I will just play it just to get it out of the deck. Because I just want to redraw into damage. And then this turn, we can block everything. And then we drew 2 strikes and can win the fight. Alright, so what I really need at this point, though, is a good damaging card. Regen Potion is nice. If we take some damage against an elite, we'll be happy there. 2 excellent cards. So Calculated Gamble, of course, goes very, very well with our Untouchable, and sets us up for really good Sly cards later. Also makes your draws much more reliable. On the other hand, Blur is also excellent, has the Fresnel Lens bonus, and benefits from Footwork already being in the deck. So these are both incredible cards. Flick Flack, if I had the Calculated Gamble already, I might consider taking it, because I do need some AoE damage and just more damage in general. But I think this is actually a spot to take Blur over Calculated Gamble. As much as this is, in a vacuum, a stronger card, the fact that this is 7 block and often going to be 9, and works well with all of our other blocking cards that we've already taken, sets it apart. Okay, another random hallway fight. Ouch. The game is, typically, you want to avoid these as much as possible. But we can go Survivor, discarding Untouchable, and we'll play Blur here, and then I'll just play a Defend. And then this turn, we can go Footwork, Strike. And here we can go neutralize and triple strike against the Sea Punk. Hopefully draw a decent block this turn, because which we did. Gonna go defend, survivor. Do I want to play Piercing Wail to get it out of the deck here? I guess I do. 16 incoming damage this turn, so you can see it's starting to get fairly urgent that we actually kill the enemy. But our Cloak and Dagger did fairly well this turn. And then let's go neutralize, strike, strike. And then I need to draw 2 strikes, or I guess, yeah, this hand works to be lethal as well with the Cloak and Dagger. All right, so we've taken 0 damage in the hallway fights that we've played against so far. I could go for a SHIV deck. With Hidden Daggers, it gives me an outlet to discard Untouchable. It gives me 2 SHIVs as well. And it's a little more damage added to the deck, which is something I definitely need. Sucker Punch also totally fine for the early game. Dagger Throw is good to cycle through my my Sly cards. But I think that this is a Hidden Daggers spot, and we now have a little bit of synergy with SHIVs, and that gives me some more options for how we want to build the deck. Okay, so I could add an injury to the deck and get a random relic, or I could fight the 2 punch constructs. Now, our deck is not well set up to fight 2 punch constructs. We just don't have enough damage yet, but I think, given that I have a regen potion, I'm going to go ahead and fight them here. We'll probably take a decent amount of damage in this fight, but we should be okay to do that. And let's go ahead and do our blocking, and then we'll hit the one that is lower health. And then this turn, I'm obviously taking a huge amount of damage. Now, Hidden Daggers colliding with Ascender's Bane is pretty bad here. Let's go ahead and de-artifact that one. I will play my defend and take a little less damage. And I guess I will just hit this enemy, and we'll play Hidden Daggers. Shiv, Shiv. We'll have to use our regen potion. This fight will go long enough for the regen potion to be good, I think, so I am just going to use it here. I'll set up footwork. I will go ahead and play Blur and Cloak and Dagger, blocking most of the damage, and then I'm going to hit the right-hand punch construct. It has the artifact, so I'm less likely to want to put neutralize on it, but the advantage of hitting that one is that it's not blocking next turn. So here I'm going to go... I can go Piercing Wail and just prevent all the damage this turn, and that seems fine, so I'm just going to do that. Piercing Wail, and then I will go neutralize, strike, strike, trying to chip away at the lower health enemy. This is a rough fight here, for sure. We're going to go Blur, Survivor, discarding Defend, play another Defend, play Hidden Daggers, and then this enemy's blocking, so we have to hit the other one. Here, I can go Defend, Defend, and Strike, or I could go Strike, Strike, Defend, and take more damage. But I think we do a little better just by putting the enemy down to 15 here and taking only 6. And then this turn, I can weaken this enemy. We have... If I weaken it, it's going to be doing 2 attacks for 5, which means that we still don't block enough damage, but it means I can get away with playing Cloak and Dagger, Strike, Strike, killing this enemy, and we only take... Or no, sorry, 2 attacks for 4. So... Yeah, so this is a much better line, because then Cloak and Dagger blocks all the damage, and we can kill the other one. And I obviously took a lot of damage here. We might need to change what direction we're going in this... change our pathing. But... the regen potion let me take this without dying, so... I'm okay with that. Here I can set up a million block. I would have liked for that to collide in the correct order earlier. No point in playing any cards this turn, because we can't get through its block anyways. weakening it, and then we'll play 3 defends. And then here we can kill it. Alright, so rough fight for sure, but we get a lot of rewards out of it. Power Potion and a Mazalith's Gift. These will help a lot in our first elite fight. We get a Chandelier, which of course is a great relic, especially for the Silent, and we get to add a card to the deck. Wow, 2 cards I really, really want. Both Leg Sweep and Haze are excellent for this deck, but I think we have to take Haze. Currently, we're really suffering for damage. This is a Sly card that can work with Hidden Daggers and work, of course, with Survivor, and it gives us AoE damage, which is something that we're badly missing at this point. Now we'll go to the left. If I am not feeling like taking this elite fight, so I need to make it through this elite fight without dying, but we have 2 potions to help us do that, and then we can go like this. We can rest at this campsite, and then if I'm not feeling like taking this elite fight, we can always take a hallway fight. So that's the nice thing about having a relatively easy path. Okay, the Abyssal Baths is actually a great event to roll. I can just heal for 10. I would have loved to be able to get max HP here, but healing for 10 is going to mean that I might even be able to upgrade at the campsite if the elite fight goes well. Warpaint, phenomenal find. We are desperate for card upgrades and haven't gotten any, and I'm happy no matter what this hits. Cloak and Dagger and Defend, definitely on the low end of cards it could have hit, like Haze, Hidden Dagger, Blur, Untouchable. These would all have been better, but still a very, very solid relic for us to get. And then here, Prayer Wheel, that won't come up too often at this point in the run, but it does mean maybe I could take an extra hallway fight. We would be taking a hard mode fight there. Let's go ahead and fight this elite. Alright, so I'm going to use both of my potions in this fight, so I might as well just do that right away. And Fan of Knives is a decent amount of damage. Accuracy is a decent amount of damage with the 2 Shiv cards we already have. So this is 16 damage right away. This is going to be 12 damage each deck cycle. Which is probably going to total more damage in the fight. Phantom Blades is going to be usually 18 damage each deck cycle with Cloak and Dagger and Hidden Blades. So I think the Phantom Blades is actually going to be the most damage that we can get. Sadly, I did not, and I'll use Mazalith's Gift as well. Sadly, I did not get any discard outlets in this hand, but we can at least go Footwork, Defend, and Defend. We'll take 1 here and set up some powers. And then this turn, I can go Blur, Strike, Survivor, discarding Strike, and we'll play Hidden Daggers, and then I can play 1 and we'll retain the other Shiv, giving myself more options for dealing damage with the Phantom Blades. Getting Phantom Blades for free here was very good, I have to say. And then we'll go Cloak and Dagger, of course. Oh yeah, it's even more Shivs, actually, because we have 2 Cloak and Daggers. So accuracy, I was only counting 3 Shivs per deck cycle. Accuracy would have been 16 damage per deck cycle, not 12. So, a mistake there in terms of my counting. Just play some Defends. We will keep Piercing Wail in the deck, because this enemy sometimes multi-attacks. And then I'm going to play a Shiv, and I'm going to play 1 more Shiv. No, I guess holding these is fine, because we have Mazalith's Gift anyways, so we're always just... They're always gaining more damage in future turns, regardless. No need to play them. And then here, I can go 1 Shiv, I can go Piercing Wail, I can go Neutralize. That prevents all the damage. And then the enemy will get stunned at 75. So is it worth doing that this turn? I could just play some block. But I think just stunning it here, we get to do a pretty substantial amount of damage to the Terror Eel. And then this turn we have Hidden Daggers and Haze and Survivor. So we actually get to play the Haze. So we'll go Strike, we'll go Hidden Daggers, discard Haze, and defend. And play 1 Shiv. And then I'm not playing Survivor. And then the enemy's down to 22 here, but we should have lethal. Nice. Alright, well that was a clean fight. We took 1 damage against the Terror Eel. It did cost me 2 very powerful potions, but I'm pretty happy with how that went. Pen Nib, not terrible, given that we actually have a bunch of Shivs here. I don't have a lot of discard outlets, but Reflex is very good. It works extremely well with Hidden Daggers in particular, to refill your hand after you play the Hidden Daggers. Deadly Poison is very nice. Dagger Throw is a discard outlet, but I think Reflex is a strong enough card that I'm just going to pick it up. Now, do I want to take a hallway fight? I think what I would rather do is go to this elite, and we'll see what event we get here. I don't really want to take 2 hallway fights, because I think that would lower my health too much. The reason I'm considering taking a hallway fight is we have Prayer Wheel, so double card rewards is a very tempting reason to do that. I guess if I take a lot of damage in this fight, I can always rest here, and then we can always go to this fight instead of one of the elites. So let's actually do this over an event. And then here, I will play Footwork, Neutralize on the Sewer Clam, and then we can play Cloak and Dagger, and we can play Shiv, Strike. No need to hold the Shivs anymore. We don't have the powers that we got last time, or potions or anything. All right, Rough Hand here, where we can't actually do anything. That means that this hand is probably going to be pretty dangerous, though we drew pretty well, actually. So we'll go Survivor, discarding Haze. And I'll play Defend. Do I want to get rid of Piercing Wail? I don't think so. This turn, we can go Neutralize. I mean, I just play everything this turn. Doing some decent damage and chipping away at the Sewer Clam here. Alright, I can just play Defend. I, again, didn't draw a discard outlet, which is fine. Also, we're on the Pen Nib. We're on 9 on Pen Nib. Worth keeping that in mind as well. No need to play anything else here. Maybe I should be playing the Piercing Wail, because this enemy doesn't multi-attack. So I want to use my Pen Nib on a Strike. It's my weirdly, it's my best attack. And then Cloak and Dagger is still more damage than the other strikes. $23 incoming damage this turn, so let's go Survivor, discarding Reflex. And then I can play Cloak and Dagger. And we can go Shiv, and we can play Hidden Daggers. And win the fight. Alright, very clean fight there. Nice, we got a regen potion. Amazing. The double regen potion that we've gotten has actually been excellent. And then cards that I want to add to my deck. Another Reflex is interesting if I get a discard outlet for it. Obviously, when you have multiple card rewards as well, you always want to skip. Sadly, I don't think we want a second Untouchable, even one with Nimble. Funny that a Nimble Untouchable now is still 1 less block than Untouchable was when the game launched. This card has been nerfed so much. Leading Strike, even at this point, even though we're a little bit oriented towards Shivs, I think that this card is just a little bit too weak to go for. Phantom Blades is a little more interesting because we do have a couple Shiv cards. I don't like this power very much in general, but when we already have 2 Shiv generators, it does increase our damage somewhat significantly. I would much prefer to take Reflex here, but we just can't support this many Sly cards with so few discard outlets. So I think this is a place where we're going to take Phantom Blades, and then here I'm just going to skip. Even with Phantom Blades, I'm not adding Leading Strike to the deck at this point. Phantom Blades wants you to have a few Shiv cards to get the most benefit from it. And then here I can go like so. Now, I have a regen potion, so I can afford to upgrade. A few upgrades I can do. I could upgrade footwork, really excellent upgrade. Upgrade neutralize, always one of the best upgrades possible. Upgrade haze. If I had one more discard outlet, I would consider this more strongly. Or reflex, both good upgrades as well. Hidden daggers, SHIV pluses are fine. I think here we're just going to go with a neutralize upgrade, though. It's just such high value every time. So now, do I want to commit to taking another hallway fight for a double card reward? I think I do. So we're going to go to this elite fight. We'll pop our regen potion, because of course the fight's going to go long enough that it's valuable to do that. Then we've got Cloak and Dagger, defend. Oh, they changed the Skulking Colony, so now it can lose 20 health in a turn. So you can actually kill it in 4 turns if you do exactly 20 damage to it. That's an interesting change to this enemy. I hadn't realized they had changed it here. But we'll just play another defend, and then we'll play SHIV, SHIV, Hidden Daggers, SHIV, SHIV. Healing a little bit, and then we'll play defend, defend, strike. Take 6. This turn, I drew Survivor with Reflex, and with Haze, and with Untouchable. And we have 6 energy, so I'm going to play Survivor discarding Reflex. Because I have enough energy to play Untouchable, I can hard cast the Untouchable. And by doing this, I get to spend my energy a little more efficiently. Weaken the enemy. I do want to get Phantom Blades into play, so I'll play that, and we actually get to hard cast Haze here. Somewhat unusual, but getting a little bit of poison on the enemy is certainly not bad. Finally drew my footwork, so I get to get that into play. I get to play Piercing Wail, because the enemy's multi-attacking, so it's high value to do that this turn. And we'll play Blur as well. $19 incoming damage this turn, but we can go Cloak and Dagger, we can go defend. I can play a SHIV here, and we'll retain the other SHIV, since we have Phantom Blades. Although actually, maybe that was bad because of the enemy being at 22. If I hit it one more time, I could have done 20 damage to it. It won't matter, but worth thinking about that sequence. Hidden Daggers coming in handy there. We'll hit the enemy with Neutralize. We'll play a SHIV here. And I can play a Defend, blocking all the incoming damage. And we'll play a Strike as well. My SHIVs have Retain. And then the enemy's going to go to 1. And then we can kill it. So, very clean Skulking Colony fight with the new Skulking Colony. Some gold here. Entropic Brew, sure, that's great. We're very happy to have that. Shovel is a nice find as well. Getting some extra relics, of course, is good. Now, this deck is very upgrade hungry still, so there's definitely some times where I might prefer an upgrade to a relic. But for now, I think we're in good shape. Up my sleeve is pretty interesting as well. Finisher, we could use to deal a decent amount of damage, but I think we'll just take a second upgraded Blur. We already have the Fresnel Lens, and so getting multiple powerful blurs means that we can often keep block turn to turn, which is exactly what this deck wants. Then we'll go into this fight here. And this is a great time to have a Blur, because it means that I'm going to have a lot of block for next turn. We'll waste our Pen Nib attack, but still doing some damage, and I am going to have probably enough block for turn 2 here. I can get Footwork into play, and then I'll just play Strike Strike here. Alright, so this turn, we do again have enough block, so let's go Blur, Defend, Phantom Blades, Strike, Hidden Daggers last. And we'll play one of our SHIVs, and we'll retain the other for the Hidden Daggers, or for the Phantom Blades effect. Play Neutralize here. Now, this turn is rough. I don't have any block, so we're taking a bunch of damage. I could use my Entropic Brew, and being able to prevent 9 damage with a potion is probably worth it. So I'm going to use the brew. We'll see what we get. I could then play the Cure-All. That would probably give me enough block that we... this will probably find me something to prevent 9 damage. Using a potion to prevent 9 damage is usually worth it, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I can play Survivor, discarding Reflex over the Haze here, I think. And I'll play Blur. I'll be playing the Shiv as well. I'll play Cloak and Dagger. And we'll play Strike. And we'll retain these 2 Shivs to max our value. Again. And then here we've got Neutralize and a big Shiv to win the fight. And we picked up another regen potion. The game has been very, very generous with regen potions, I have to say. Is this a Knife Trap deck? I don't love this card in general. I rated it very low. But we do have some Shiv generations. And this is... We need long-term scaling in fights that go longer. This is a way that we can get that. So I think this probably is a Knife Trap deck. Even cards that I rated relatively weak, right, are going to be good in the right circumstances. And this is the type of deck where we were very well set up to make fights go long, but we don't have a good way to win when they go long. So a card that helps with that is very helpful. Upgraded Hand Trick is pretty good, but I think Prepared is just... or not upgraded, but Enchanted Hand Trick is quite good here. Just because it's 1 energy for 9 block, but we already have some pretty good blocking effects, so we've just got to take Prepared, and I think that this is, in fact, a Knife Trap deck. Deflect, the Enchanted Deflect would also be pretty good, but we just need a way to win fights as they go long, so we're going to go ahead and pick that up. Alright, so here the question is, do I want to dig for a relic, or do I want to upgrade my Prepared? Prepared is vastly better when it's upgraded, and so it's pretty important to do that. On the other hand, relics are just very powerful in general. I think I'm going to dig here, but it's actually very close as to whether we want to dig or upgrade. Alright, Tiny Mailbox. We're probably not going to get much value out of that because both upgrading and digging are really good. Though if I happen to find Miniature Tent at a shop, we will, of course, snap by that. And then let's go to the first boss fight. So here, we definitely want to set up our powers. Let's start with Phantom Blades, of course. And I'm going to use Prepared here, and we'll discard a Strike. We don't want to start damaging the enemy yet. Do I want to use my Regen Potion now? Or I could also use my Stable Serum to make this fight easier. We could take less damage against it as well. Because then I can maybe play Blurred next turn. I think these potions are low enough value that I'm just going to use both of them, and we'll just try to maintain our health. Even though we're going to heal with the Ancient, the Regen Potion will still just keep my health higher for next act. And then this way we can just pass. This turn, I'm going to go Footwork. I'll play Blur as well. Just setting that up. And do I want to just discard Piercing Wail? Do I want to get that out of the deck? I think so, actually. So I'm going to play the Piercing Wail as well. Another option is I could maybe have played some Shivs just into the armor for Knife Trap. Maybe should have thought of that a little bit more as well. But let's go Hidden Daggers, and we'll, of course, discard our Sly cards. Oh, wait. I messed up here because I'm adding 3 cards to my hand with Reflex and Untouchable, so I'm giving up a Shiv here. So, definite mistake. I needed to count my cards better there. But let's go ahead and we'll play a Shiv. And so now Knife Trap is going to be 1 Shiv. And we'll play a Strike. I'll play Cloak and Dagger, and then we have 2 retained Shivs as well. And I guess I'll just play a Strike and a Haze here. I was hoping to draw my other Blur. Phantom Blades and Knife Trap do conflict a little bit, because Phantom Blades wants you to delay playing your Shivs, Knife Trap wants you to have played all of them. Do I want to play a Strike here, or do I want to play Survivor for more Blur? I think we can get away with just playing a Strike, and we'll just have 4 block next turn. And then this turn, we can go with our Shiv, and we can go Cloak and Dagger, play a Strike, and play another blocking card, retain all these Shivs again. 14 incoming damage this turn. Let's start with Prepared. See what we draw into. We'll discard Untouchable, play Neutralize, play a Shiv with Pen Nib, which is a lot of damage here. And then here I have to play this Shiv, which is fine, because then I can go Hidden Daggers, and I'll retain these 2. But otherwise, we'd have been discarding it. This is great. We can just go Blur, Blur, and Shiv, and Strike. When I redraw into Knife Trap, that should be a lot of damage. So this is 6 Shivs. Not actually as much as I was... Well, I guess it'll be 7, because I'm going to play this one. It's not actually as much damage as I was sort of expecting it to be, but we'll go with discard, reflex, and we'll draw some cards. And I think it's fine. I mean, we're at -2 strength here. I need to play a bunch of Shivs here. So I'm going to go ahead and play Hidden Daggers, discarding these 2 cards. Play a couple Shivs, and we'll play Knife Trap. And we still have 10 Shivs in the discard. I just need to win the fight before we lose another point of strength, is the main thing. Because all of our Shivs are doing half as much damage now. And we'll take 5 here. And then this turn, we can go with another Shiv. That's a big damage Shiv. And then we've got Neutralize as well. Playing the Shiv first, because we need the Pen Nib to double it. And then we can go Blur, Defend, and I guess just the Strike for 4. And then this turn... Now, the unfortunate thing is I didn't draw into Knife Trap. So I'm going to play Hidden Daggers, discard the Haze, and we'll discard a Defend as well. I'll play Shiv... And I need to play this one as well, because we lost a bunch of strength here. And so all of these Knife Trap Shivs are going to do nothing. So we're doing that just for the Phantom Blades Shiv. And then I'll take 5. This turn, we have Neutralize for 0. I can play Prepared, and we'll discard here. And then we can play Strike, Strike, and Survivor. And we'll take a bunch of damage. I messed up this fight. I needed to play it faster. So definitely some mistakes in this one. Which cost me a lot of health here. The enemy having 14 armor this turn is going to be somewhat hard to get through. So I can go with... well, we'll play Neutralize. I want to keep it weakened. I don't have enough damage to get through its armor, so I'll just play Blur and Defend. And then we'll have to do a 7 damage Shiv this turn. And then I have a 0 damage Strike. We have a 0 damage Knife Trap. So let's go ahead and play Survivor, discarding Untouchable. We'll cycle through here. And basically I'm looking for Haze to win the fight. So I made that a lot harder than it had to be. Really bad play by me, but we got through the Lagavelin Matriarch fight, despite letting it debuff me 3 times, which is really rough. But we got there in the end. Okay, nice. So we got Tools of the Trade or the Hunt. Tools of the Trade, this deck badly needs discard outlets. And this is just one of the best cards in the entire game overall, so we're going to go ahead and pick that up. The Hunt wouldn't be bad, but we already have Prayer Wheel. We don't really need even more card rewards, so Tools of the Trade is, I think, a pretty clear pick here. I'm a little on tilt because of how badly I played that last fight, but we'll recover as we go into Act 2. And jumping back in for Act 2, it's a couple hours later because I had a couple other things to do. I mentioned that I played that last fight pretty badly, so let me talk about that a little bit while I just refresh myself on the deck, since I'm playing this a little later in real time. So what I should have done in the previous fight is play more SHIVs on the first couple turns to put them in the exhaust pile, and then use my Retain Potion to keep Knife Trap for the last turn before the first debuff. And that way I could have maximized my damage and made the fight significantly faster and not put myself in as much risk as I did the way that I played it, where I didn't maximize the use of Knife Trap. A little inexperience with using the card, but also, of course, just a misidentification of how to play the fight. So we could have gotten away from that fight much cleaner. Fortunately, we survived anyways. This deck is pretty good. It just needs mostly more upgrades, and I am still looking for a little more late game scaling, something to work with Knife Trap in order to make it as effective as possible, probably. Let's see what we get here. So, I could enchant all strikes in my deck with Tezkatara's Ember, and then we could have some Eternal Strikes. Now, I do still want to remove these from the deck, and we don't really, other than Pen Nib, we don't have an incentive to play a lot of strikes, so Nutritious Soup, I think, is going to be pretty bad. Brightest Flame is a very good card. Our max HP is already fairly low, though, and I don't think we really need this effect, so what I'm probably going to do is just take the Toy Box. With the 4 relics, this will let us take a more difficult path and give us a smoother path through Act 2, and potentially on into Act 3, depending on how many combats we take. So I think that people tend to underrate this effect because it's temporary, but it just means that you can take more difficult fights and gain more rewards during Act 2. So we're going to take Toy Box here. We got well, that's not super exciting. The Bag of Marbles, also not super exciting. Ripple Basin, unfortunately, it's really good for most of the silent decks, but unfortunately isn't going to work that effectively. Oh, actually, I should have taken these in a different order as well, because, well, this one I don't care about melting, but probably we want the Bag of Marbles. You can determine which order you take them in if you select them in a different order. I think probably the Beating Remnant and then the Ripple Basin. These are 4 pretty bad wax relics, but overall, not a terrible ancient reward here. We can go to an early shop. I definitely want to do that. And then I'm looking at a pathing, something along the lines of this. We would get 2 combats, so that's 1 hard mode fight, because it's after the first 2 fights. I could also go to the left here. That's 1 easy mode fight. We could do something like this, and that is 3 elites. The downside is no campsites, but I could go to this campsite if I wanted to. I could also go to the left here. That's 2 campsites, another shop if I have enough money, and then another campsite. It's 1 fewer elite fights, but I think that this left-hand path is the smoothest. If I don't have the money, then we don't need to do the shop. We can go to the event. So that's going to be the best pathing for Act 2 here. All right, let's jump into it. So here we will, of course, start with Neutralize, and I don't have any discard in hand this turn, so I could play Untouchable Defend and just block 11 damage. It means not setting up Phantom Blades, but I'm not that upset about that, and that is one of the things about Untouchable, is that sometimes you can just set it up, or you can just play it at full price, and that's totally fine. I'm going to play a Blur. Do I want to play Blur Survivor and skip on the strikes? I think I do. That will let me spend more of next turn trying to break the Tunneler's Shield, because we get 19 block this way. I don't have anything in hand I guess we can discard Knife Trap. We're not playing it this turn. I will play Footwork. Play the Defend, because I haven't played a Shiv yet, so Knife Trap is useless here. I guess I could have kept the Knife Trap and done a little bit more damage. I should have thought through my whole turn first, because we're playing Hidden Daggers anyways. Do I want to use the Piercing Wail? I think I do, just to avoid redrawing it. And then we'll play 2 Shivs and chip away at the Tunneler here. So I could have had a little bit more damage had I played that more correctly. Discard Haze, and then we'll play Prepared, discarding a Strike, and we'll play some blocking cards. Shiv and Shiv. And I don't have enough damage to break through the shield. But we only take 2, thanks to Footwork being a broken power. So here, hopefully I have enough damage to kill the enemy. So this is 8 plus, that's 14, so 18 damage, enough to break through the block. And I can go Blur, Defend, Hidden Daggers, although it's going to be... no, we do still get the benefit of the block here, because it's only stunned for that turn, not this turn. And then we can discard Haze. I can play Cloak and Dagger, doing some more Shivs. I can play a Strike. We don't have a Blur in play, so we'll just pass the turn. And then this turn, I get to discard probably the Defend. I'm going to play Knife Trap for sure. So let's go Prepared first, and we'll discard a Strike. And I'll play Phantom Blades and Knife Trap here. And that wins the fight. And then we do get 2 card rewards thanks to our Prayer Wheel. Alright, well this is a very, very clear Acrobatics. This deck wants card draw, it wants Sly triggers. Acrobatics is one of the best cards in the game. So very, very easy to pick that. We're gonna look at our other cards just in case, but we're almost certainly taking Acrobatics. Do I want a second Reflex here now that we have Acrobatics? That's a lot of card draw. I could also take a Deflect, which also goes well with Acrobatics, works with our Fresnel Lens as well, so that's pretty powerful. But given that I have Tools of the Trade and we're picking up Acrobatics, I think we're just going to take a lot of card draw. We'll pick up Reflex and Acrobatics. I'm hoping for a Tactician so that we can gain extra energy from Sly as well, but so far this deck has a pretty good Sly setup. Okay, so we can actually trade a Wax relic for a non-Wax relic. So we can get Eternal Feather. We actually have a ton of healing off of the Eternal Feather. So more than the Blood Vial here, probably. Because if I enter 3 campsites, we're going to get 45 healing from that, which is way more than we would get from the 2 HP each combat from Blood Vial. And I don't care about the Wax Ripple Basin. Yeah, we would maybe like to remove the leftmost one first, but I think this is totally fine. We'll go ahead and trade this out, and we've got an Eternal Feather. Relic Trader with Wax Relics. I haven't actually had that interaction before, but that is a pretty nice one. Here, I'm definitely losing 10 HP to upgrade. We're desperate for card upgrades, and we are going to heal for free off of our Eternal Feather. So we're going to do Rejection here, and we will upgrade our Prepared. A couple other cards I could upgrade. I could upgrade Footwork, very important to get this upgraded. I could upgrade Tools of the Trade, which makes it cost 0, which is really nice as well. Prepared does very little when it's not upgraded. You really want to get this upgraded. I think this deck actually might want to upgrade Footwork instead, though, because having the extra block is going to be really important. So I'm going to upgrade Footwork here. We'll prioritize upgrading Prepared as well. But for now, that's going to be the better upgrade. Then we're going to the shop. All right. And Adrenaline is great. Infinite Blades does go reasonably well with Phantom Blades, though not as well as you might think, because you just end up with more. We have other Shiv cards in hand, so you end up with more Shivs than you can feasibly use. I do need extra energy, so I really want to buy this Adrenaline. It obviously makes our deck significantly better. Shockwave is fairly nice as well. Removing a Strike is very powerful. I can't both buy Adrenaline and remove a Strike. So I think my choice is between... Wing Charm is also not terrible. Book of Five Rings is a little bit late. Vexing Puzzle Box can actually be pretty powerful as well. Obviously, it clogs up your deck later on, but a free card play on the first turn of every combat is really strong. And our deck is quite thick already, so putting potentially bad cards in it is much less impactful than it usually is for the Silent. But I think here I'm going to buy Adrenaline and buy Infinite Blades. I don't love the Infinite Blades here, but I think it's fine. Oh yeah, also Predator was moved down to common. I still think this card is bad, so I just generally am not going to buy it here. I don't love Infinite Blades, but we have Knife Trap, so we're incentivized to play with Infinite Blades. Do I want another Cloak and Dagger? I'm thinking not. With Infinite Blades, I now have enough Shiv generation to make Knife Trap powerful. And then we're going to go to this event here. Okay, we're going to have to add a card to the deck, but that's fine. And then Dodge and Roll is amazing with the Fresnel Lens. Deadly Poison is not bad here. Strangle can be really powerful with Knife Trap, of course, because this can just be a huge amount of burst damage. But I think this deck just wants Dodge and Roll with a Footwork and a Fresnel Lens. This is so much block, and double Blur. It's also really good with Blur. Then I'm going to keep going to the left here. The Thieving Hopper, hate this fight. It's so dangerous every time. But we'll start, of course, with Neutralize. Wait, why am I doing so much damage? Oh, right, because of our Akabiko. I guess let's start with Acrobatics. No, I need to remove a card from hand before I play Acrobatics into Reflex. Now, do I want to Reflex here or Haze? I think I do want to Reflex, because I need to find some block. And then we're going to go with Prepared, discarding Untouchable. Not getting to play the Haze this turn, but that's okay. We block all of the incoming damage. What did it... it hasn't stolen yet, so we don't actually know what it's going to take. Alright, it took a Blur. I definitely do not want to allow it to run off with the Blur, so we're going to try to make that not happen. Start with Adrenaline here. And then I will go Tools of the Trade, Dodge and Roll, Strike. Play the Defend here. 23 incoming damage is just so high. We're not going to be playing Piercing Wail, so I'll discard that. And then I'm going to play everything else. So Footwork, Blur, Defend, Cloak and Dagger, Double Shiv, and Survivor. We do get to stun it with only 3 more attacks, which is good. So let's go ahead and discard a Defend here, and I'll start with a Prepared as well. Discard Defend, and then we'll play Neutralize, Strike, Hidden Daggers, stunning the enemy. Ticks down to 1 here. I might not be able to stop it from escaping. So we'll discard Reflex. Yeah, we've only got 4 Shivs, so Phantom Blades into Knife Trap doesn't do it. So that's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure that doesn't work. Yeah. That's unfortunate, but this is a deck that doesn't kill quickly, so losing our upgraded Blur, our Enchanted Blur, does feel really bad, but the Thieving Hopper is going to always be tough for this deck. There might have been a way that I could arrange to not lose a card there, but if so, I didn't find it. I'll take a Deflect. It kind of goes with our Blur, or will help replace our Blur, especially because we now have quite a lot of draw. Do I want an Infinite Blades here? A second Infinite Blades? It does, again, work with our Knife Trap. I guess we're going to do that. So I'll take Infinite Blades, and I'll take Deflect. Then I'm going to the campsite. We heal up to almost full. Do I dig, or do I upgrade? We've already upgraded Footwork. The card I really want to upgrade, of course, is... Prepared. I think we'll find we can just get away with digging up a relic here. Whenever I'd lose HP, lose 1 less, definitely nice. And then we'll keep going down the left-hand side. Candelabra. pretty good as well. This deck has a lot of card draw, and with Candelabra and Chandelier, we can now make really good use of that with our extra energy. And then here, I can definitely afford to lose some health because we're going into a campsite right away. So let's go ahead and take 15 here, because we have Eternal Feather, which is going to heal me for 18 health, which is obviously a lot. Now, I think we can... I probably should play it a little safer, though, and we'll just do one of 2 relics. Oh, right, we also have Tungsten Rod, so we only take 4 there. Bing Bong is interesting, but we're just going to go with Mr. Struggles. This deck still does want some scaling on into the late game, and picking up Mr. Struggles is just a little bit of extra damage, which is certainly helpful. Good in this fight as well. Alright, let's start here with Acrobatics, and we'll discard Haze. I'm definitely taking a bunch of damage in this fight, but I can play Phantom Blades and Dodge and Roll if I want. I'm playing Dodge and Roll. Am I going to play Phantom Blades or prevent 5 more damage? We're healing a lot on the next floor, so I'm going to set up Phantom Blades to try to make this fight a little faster. And then we take a ton of damage here. And then this turn, I now can play everything. So we're going to do that. We'll neutralize the enemy that prevents the most damage. And then we can just hard cast Untouchable. We can play Tools of the Trade. We can play Defend. We're taking a fairly substantial hit again. Let's hit the lowest health enemy here. And then this turn, we can discard Reflex to draw a couple more cards. I can set up Footwork. I have 0 shivs in deck currently. I can play Survivor after having played Footwork, discarding Reflex. We can play Adrenaline. And Piercing Wail will prevent a bunch of damage, so I'm just going to play it this turn. I'll play Infinite Blades. I'll play Cloak and Dagger. We don't retain any cards. And I have no shivs in discard, though I could replay 2 with Knife Trap, and then 2 more with Hidden Daggers, if I hadn't played the Deflect there, actually. So I should have thought about that, because I could have played 4 shivs this turn with Knife Trap. As is, if I play these 2 shivs, and then play Hidden Daggers, I'm discarding my other cards. So that was actually a fairly severe mistake. But I'm going to do a bunch of damage to this enemy, and then... it won't die. It'll die to the poison over 2 turns, which is fine. And then we're going to go with a Shiv here. Or I can retain this Shiv for next turn. I'm going to go Strike on this enemy. And then I can play a Shiv, play Hidden Daggers, and we'll retain some Shivs. Definitely should have played the Knife Trap there, so mistake in my ordering. And then we'll retain 1 Shiv. And then here I can discard just a Defend. Oh yeah, and we get the Mr. Struggles damage. And I'm going to play... I'll start with a Prepared, and I'll discard... an Infinite Blades, probably. I don't really need to set up a second one in this fight. I just need to block everything and do a little bit of damage. And then we can play a Shiv on the low health enemy. I don't have enough damage to kill this enemy this turn, so we're going to play all of our blocking cards, which is enough block. And then I could play a Shiv if I want to, or I could retain it. I guess I'll play it, because we're going to get another one from Infinite Blades regardless. And then here we can discard Reflex. And I can start with a Shiv on the high health enemy. I can play Acrobatics, discard Reflex, and just keep drawing cards. And then we'll do Neutralize for 3 damage. Cloak and Dagger and Hidden Daggers should be enough damage overall. to end this fight. So with the Knife Trap, I wouldn't have ended up saving any health, but it certainly would have been better to play that correctly. Take our attack potion. We'll take Snecko Skull. This is not a poison deck, though, unless we get maybe Envenom. But it's still nice for our Haze, I guess. And then I will definitely take another Acrobatics to cycle through the deck even faster. Then we're going to this campsite, and I'm just going to dig again. I could upgrade, but continuing to get even more relics. Okay, Stonecracker. It might hit one of the relics we really want to upgrade. I have 120 gold, so not enough to remove a strike, but is it enough to make me want to go to a store over an event? I think I'd rather take an event here. I don't want to remove Knife Trap from my deck, so we will do that. Don't want to remove Hidden Daggers, so we'll reroll. Yikes. Okay, our rolls here were really bad. I guess I'm going to remove Phantom Blades, because we got super unlucky on the bridge rolls there. We rolled like the top 4 most important cards in our deck right now. So that cost me a ton of health, and then we still removed a card I would rather have kept. So really wishing I had gone to the... really wishing that I had gone to the store. And then the Infested Prism. So they have changed the Infested Prism. All skills are Tainted 3. Gain 3 Tainted when played. Take additional damage from attacks this turn. So when I play a skill, I increase incoming damage by 3. That's pretty rough, because obviously our skills are very important to this deck. Let's start with an attack potion. I'm definitely going to be using that, I think. And I'll play Strangle here. Gaining... No, wait, we don't gain energy from the Infested Prism when we attack it anymore either. Okay, I do not like this change at first glance. This is my first time playing against the enemy after the update. I feel like this makes it a lot less interesting to play against this enemy. Let's go ahead and play a Hidden Daggers, and we'll discard our 2 Sly cards, causing a lot more incoming damage, of course. And then... we don't have Phantom Blades in the deck anymore, so we're just playing a couple SHIVs. 26 incoming damage. I could play an Acrobatics. That would increase incoming damage by 3. I could Blur, and that basically blocks for 7 here. I think I do need to gain some Tainted and play the Acrobatics, because I need to draw into better cards in this spot. And then I have to play Blur. And basically I'm taking 16, and then I will play Tools of the Trade. Only 15 because of the Tungsten Rod. Alright, so here I'm going to discard Haze. It does give me 3 Tainted, but sets up some Poison, which is important. We will have to play Adrenaline as well. Finally drew my Footwork, very important here, because that is how we overcome Tainted being so brutal. Then I'm going to play Acrobatics into Reflex. And I can play a bunch of blocking cards. So we're definitely playing Defend. We're definitely playing Deflect. It's still +6 block, effectively. And then I will play a Survivor, discarding a Strike. And I'll play another Defend. Now we're blocking all the damage, and then I can play a Strike here. This enemy is really scary now, I have to say. Alright, so I'm going to discard Prepared here. I can play Neutralize. I can play Piercing Wail. And then I can play Cloak and Dagger. And we'll do... and I have to play a Defend, and I have to play a Strike. So we blocked all the damage. It also just attacks every turn, which is rough. Am I playing Reflex or Haze? I'm going to play the Haze here. And then I'm going to play a Defend, and I think I'll take 1 to be able to Knife Trap. No, Knife Trap is only 4 shivs right now, because I haven't had a chance to set up my Infinite Blades. So we'll just try to avoid taking damage. Enemy is going to scale. It's gaining the Vital Spark increases in power. So now Untouchable is still +3 block total, but This is very dangerous. Let's go ahead and play our Strangle, and then I'm going to play Defend and Survivor. And when I block most of the incoming damage. And then here, I have to play Reflex. I've got to Neutralize. I probably can't get away with playing Acrobatics this turn. So let's go Blur and Defend. And then we would be taking 2. I'm going to play Infinite Blades. And I can't play Hidden Daggers, so we have to take 2 damage here. Here, I'm going to discard Prepared. We can't really afford to do that. We'll play our SHIV. And I'm going to play Acrobatics. Looking for slide cards, of course. Discard here. I'll play Cloak and Dagger. Play some SHIVs. Play Deflect. And play Dodge and Roll. Oh, it's attacking 3 times, so... yeah, we're just dead. Okay, so the Infested Prism fight is really dangerous. I don't really know how we win that. Okay, so I'm 100% dead in that run. Obviously, I'm accepting that I lost that run. But what I've done is I've saved and quit, because I do want to try that fight again now that I know how it works. I think we probably could have put together a winning line, now that I know that the enemy is going to gain additional Vital Spark. So I've saved and quit, and we're starting the fight again. And I want to emphasize this does not count as a winning run. I have certainly lost this run, but I'm just curious if I can put together a winning fight against the Infested Prism here. So, 17 incoming damage. Let's start with Hidden Daggers. It does trigger Vital Spark 3 times, but basically we get 6 of that block back by playing Untouchable. And then I can also play Reflex, and we'll see what cards we draw into. And I think that the key to this encounter is going to be to set up my powers early. So I'm going to play Infinite Blades and Tools of the Trade to try to set up for big knife traps sooner. Oh, right. I can also use my attack potion here. Now, obviously, I have the foreknowledge that we could roll into Strangle and get extra damage there, but I'm thinking actually Leading Strike will be better, just for more shivs for the knife trap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll play all of these shivs while the enemy is still vulnerable. And then Blur is health positive, so I'm going to play that there, and we'll take 13. But this way I have set up a bunch of powers on the first turn. Alright, this turn, I have extra energy from Adrenaline and from the Candelabra, so I could probably play Acrobatics. What would I discard? I can just discard the Ascender's Bane. I could discard Defend. Defend is only +2 health, basically, so I'm going to discard the Defend here. And then I'll start with Adrenaline, increasing enemy damage by 3. Then I'm going to play Acrobatics, draw 3, and we can discard Haze, which again increases enemy incoming damage. But now I can play Footwork, I can play Infinite Blades, I can play the SHIV, no need to not do that. And then I can play Dodge and Roll, Survivor, discarding a strike, and we take 8 this turn. This is still a lot of incoming damage. I do have both Infinite Blades set up. Let's go ahead and discard Reflex. It does cost me some Vital Spark, and the enemy is triple attacking this turn, so Vital Spark is really dangerous. But I think we'll still be able to block all the incoming damage, and this way I've done the most damage possible. I'll play Cloak and Dagger here. So that's 27 incoming, and then we'll play SHIV and SHIV. And then basically it gets +3. So this is just +2 health when I play an upgraded Defend. So I could take 4 there. And if I play an unupgraded Defend, that's -1 health. Because Tainted, I think, is... yeah, it's not affected by weakness either. So it is just a full +3 damage when I take the Tainted effect. This enemy seems to be designed to perfectly counter the Silent. Here I'm going to discard this weakened Defend, and then we'll play SHIV, SHIV, Neutralize. I'll play a leading strike, and I'll play a couple more shivs, and then just the one defend will be enough. I don't need to play Piercing Wail or Prepared here. This turn, I'll discard Reflex, because I can hard cast Untouchable if I have to. I can play shivs, I can play strike, and get the double damage off the strike. Let's start with Survivor, discarding Untouchable. This is still all block positive, even though the enemy is now up to the +6 Vital Spark. And then Dodge and Roll, that'll be... Oh, not quite enough block, we're one short of enough block. I think I still just need to take one, though, to be able to use my Pen Nib on a strike here and keep chipping away at its health. And then I just need to draw a Knife Trap alongside some more damaging cards, and I think we're okay. So let's discard Strike here. And then I'll play Shiv and Shiv. And I'll play Cloak and Dagger. And I'll play 2 Shivs. And I'll play Hidden Daggers, discarding all my non-Knife Trap cards. And play 2 Shivs. And then I'll play Knife Trap. Alright, and that was way more than enough damage. So I was able to... Oh, and we got Vajra. I was able to put together a winning line. Probably could have done that smoother if I had faced the enemy a little bit better. But that does give you some idea of how you can change your play in order to win fights that you might have otherwise lost. And here I was able to, since I knew a little... I had seen what the enemy did, I was able to reorganize how I played that fight in order to prioritize getting my powers online early and setting up for a really big Knife Trap, since I knew it was going to be a damage race and it was impossible to block all the incoming damage. I'll take the attack potion and I'll take the Vajra, and I'll add a card to the deck, and we'll go ahead and skip this. And skip here. Now I need to decide if I'm just going to play out the rest of this run, or if I think that dying to the Infested Prism means that the rest of this is just a hollow run. I guess I'll keep playing it, just because people might enjoy seeing the rest of the run. But with the important caveat that this run was absolutely lost and does not count as a victory. Save scumming to avoid losing there, of course, is valid, and might make for a more fun video where we get to see a little bit more of the Knife Trap deck. But, and, I encourage you to try fights multiple times in order to figure out ways that you can win them as well. But, from my perspective, I lost. Alright, continuing with our save scummed run here. So, we do get to heal. Now, I probably need to rest again going into the Kaiser Crab fight. I think that this deck does have enough problems with this type of enemy, because we're reliant on a fairly weak card. Also, I do want to sort of say that this kind of showcases why I don't love the Shiv strategy. It just takes so long to go off to kill enemies like that. But I think we do need to rest here. And I do get some potions. I'll take a dexterity potion. I think I'll discard the attack potion and we'll take the fortifier over it going into the Kaiser Crab fight. Dodge and roll and strike got upgraded here. And then let's go ahead and start with an adrenaline. I will play neutralize, swapping the direction that I'm facing. I'll play acrobatics into reflex. I don't have enough. I actually would not be able to fit all of those cards in hand. So let's start by playing Cloak and Dagger, and then I'll play the 2 Shivs. Having the Vajra from the last fight certainly makes these Shivs a lot better. Now I can play acrobatics into reflex. And then we can play deflect. I definitely want to set up Tools of the Trade. Do I want to set up Infinite Blades? I think I'll just play the Tools of the Trade, and I will go ahead and play Survivor, discarding Haze, because of course the poison from Haze is really good here as well. And that blocks all the incoming damage. I'm kind of hoping I can save my dexterity potion, but maybe that's a little too ambitious. Just discard a strike here. I'll start by playing acrobatics, and then I'll discard another strike. I will play footwork. I can play the piercing wail this turn, and we'll be able to turn around. I have 3 energy, so I'm going to be discarding 1 card to hidden daggers. So I guess we'll use my pen nib attack on switching direction, and I will just play piercing wail. I'll play defend. I'll play blur, and I'll play hidden daggers, swapping direction, and that saves me some block next turn with the blur. Here I'm going to discard reflex and play that for free, of course, and then we'll play prepared, discarding untouchable. And then I'll play dodge and roll and a bunch of defends. Sadly, our chandelier turn was pretty weak there, because we drew just a bunch of defends. This turn, I'm going to start by discarding reflex, give myself more options for how to deal with rockets, big attack, and then I'll play neutralize, and then I just need to block 28. We'll start, of course, with survivor, and we'll discard haze again. And alright, so here's where I maybe should have just used my dexterity potion. I could also just use the fortifier potion. Let's play blur and use fortifier, which isn't like the most incredible potion. And then this way, this will let me set up infinite blades and still have a bunch of block for next turn. Discard reflex here, and we'll play the SHIV. I guess I'll swap directions. I have 5 SHIVs for Knife Trap, but we could get a few more as well. We'll play Cloak and Dagger. Couple SHIVs. Being weakened on the turn I play Knife Trap is definitely a little rough if we end up doing that. I'll play Deflect. Oh, wait, I have way more than enough damage, enough block, because I forgot I had blurred last turn. So let's go with Hidden Daggers, discard some strikes, play some SHIVs, play Knife Trap for 9 SHIVs. I wonder, I don't think that Knife Trap would be particularly broken if the SHIVs that you played counted, like if it doubled the number of SHIVs in your exhaust pile each time you played it. You would end up with really powerful Knife Traps later on, but this card is pretty bad, and so I think that would be an interesting way to make it really powerful in long fights. Just a thought, potentially. I'm going to go ahead and play Acrobatics, discard Reflex as well. I'll play Prepared and discard Haze here. And then I definitely want to get this Infinite Blade set up if I can, but I need to play a bunch of block. So let's start with the SHIV. I'll play Deflect. I'll play Blur. And I'll play Survivor. And we'll discard a Strike. And I'll play Hidden Daggers for a couple more SHIVs. This turn, we discard Reflex here, changing my facing as well. And is there a chance I can kill Rocket this turn with the Knife Trap? Probably not. So let's start with, if I Acrobatics, I am reasonably likely to hit an Untouchable. If I don't hit Untouchable, I'm also likely to hit Neutralize. So between one of those plays, playing Acrobatics makes sense in terms of defending myself here. I don't think it's not lethal. 13 times 4, of course, or no, 13 times 5 is 65 damage, so not enough to kill Rocket here. So let's just play our Cloak and Dagger and our Defend, and then I actually do just need to use my Dexterity Potion, so I should have used it earlier. I was hoping to be able to save it, but definitely important to just use it when necessary. Here, there's nothing that I can discard effectively, but we'll discard the Strike here. And then I'll start with Neutralize, switching direction and weakening the enemy. I will also play an Acrobatics, and I'll discard a Strike. And then Dodge and Roll blocks all but 1 incoming damage, so do I take 1 to get Infinite Blade set up? I probably do. And then here, I'm going to discard... I have Hidden Daggers, so I'm going to discard Reflex. We can play the Untouchable for free regardless. And then I will swap direction with my SHIV. I'll play Hidden Daggers, discarding Untouchable and Haze. Play some SHIVs as well. Play Deflect, Defend, Blur, and I guess we'll play the Strike. And here I'll discard Reflex, drawing a couple cards. You can see that our Sly setup is starting to come together. Can I kill Crusher and then Knife Trap Rocket? Let's start with Prepared, and we'll see what we draw into. Discard 1 Defend. Because I would like to be able to kill... I'd like to be able to use Knife Trap on Crusher instead of on Rocket. Doesn't look like I can, so let's go ahead and play some SHIVs here. Well, I guess this is 7 damage, because it's doubled with Pen Nib. So I can do 10, and then I can do 3 twice, so not enough. No, that should be enough, because he has 11 poison. So I can do that, and I can do this. And that'll kill Crusher, and then that'll kill Rocket. And there we go. Okay, so I could pick up Fan of Knives. I could pick up Blade of Ink. Replaying it with Knife Trap is pretty fun. Double Tools of the Trade, of course, is very, very powerful as well. Fan of Knives is a good way to make my Knife Trap actually good, because it plays a lot of SHIVs at once. And it's good with the fact that we have Candelabra and Chandelier if I draw it early. On the other hand, we already have a pretty good Sly package, so a second Tools of the Trade is extremely tempting, and I think is what I'm going to go with over either of the SHIV cards. I mean, both of these cards are very good and would go in the deck as well, but a Tools of the Trade is just too good to pass up on here. And jumping into Act 3 in our cheating run, let's see what we've got here. We have... Mark 7 random combats. Enemies in those rooms have 1 HP. This is pretty powerful if you think you're going to have a rough Act 3. And this path looks like it could be pretty bad. Having one of these like difficult hallway fights or a couple of the elite fights just be free is pretty nice. Apotheosis, I do like the idea of upgrading all our cards. This deck, as I've mentioned many times, very hungry for upgrade. And we currently have very few. Now, a lot of our best cards to upgrade we have still managed to hit, but upgrading our reflexes and stuff would be good. I think this could be an Apotheosis deck. I would really like to find Lantern or something in order to make this as good as possible, but Delicate Frond is very powerful as well. This makes a lot of fights a lot easier, and it's going to be good against both bosses. But I think this is actually a spot for Apotheosis. I don't know that I've ever actually put this card in my deck, because spending 2 energy on the first turn is pretty brutal. But this is the deck that really wants it, I think. So I'm strongly considering it. If I take the potions, we just get some free-ish fights. I can go like this way and up along this direction. But yeah, I think we actually do want all of the upgrades. So let's go ahead and take Apotheosis. And then I'm still going to go to this right-hand path. I think we get an early shop and then a later shop if I want it. Or I can do like an elite fight or something if I prefer that. So we're going to go to the right here. Obviously, Apotheosis is nice in this fight because the enemy doesn't attack on the first turn, so it's a pretty powerful tool here. And then I'm going to start with Do I want to play Cloak and Dagger, or do I just want to play Acrobatics? I think we'll play the Acrobatics, and we'll see what we draw into, which is great, because I managed to draw into a Tools of the Trade, which I'll definitely play. I'll play a Prepared as well, and discard some more cards. Reflex will draw me some more cards, and we'll play Hidden Daggers. Sadly, I did draw into my Footwork here, but still some decent starting damage. Not bad. I should have kept the Bag of Marbles on the furthest right side, by the way. Here I'm going to discard Piercing Wail, because I don't really need it in this fight. I'll start with Acrobatics here, and then we'll discard Haze. Play Adrenaline, gaining 2 energy, which is nice. Play Tools of the Trade, play Infinite Blades, play Infinite Blades. I can Knife Trap for just 2 shivs, but we can also do all of our blocking and then just play Double Strike here. Generally, I don't think Apotheosis is very good because it makes it a lot harder to get maximum value. We have 9 cards in hand, so I'm giving up 1 card draw if I discard Reflex. On the other hand, I'm getting more value out of Untouchable because we can play Footwork first. I don't think I need to do that. I'll just discard the Untouchable. Oh, I can discard both, actually. Right. We have double Tools of the Trade in this deck. Go ahead and play all this stuff, and then I can play Dodge and Roll. I can play... I don't have my Blur. Losing the second Blur to the Thief also really hurt this deck. If we still had the second Blur, we'd be in a lot better shape. And then here, nothing Sly, so we'll just discard a couple strikes. And then we'll play a Prepared, and we'll discard Haze and another strike. That's fine. Play some Shivs. Play some defensive cards. And I can't... Oh, I could have probably just won by playing Hidden Daggers into Knife Trap. So, mistake there. Although I guess we just have enough damage to win anyways. I just played the defensive cards and then couldn't play Hidden Daggers. Speedster. We are going to be drawing a lot of cards. This deck does need more damage, so Speedster is kind of interesting as well. Upgrading it just turns it innate, so it doesn't work that well with Apotheosis. Let's go ahead and check our other card here. Alright, I'm definitely taking a second Footwork. That's exactly what we need. And do I want Speedster in this deck? We have double Reflex, double Acrobatics, and Prepared. I think this deck, and we just need a little more damage, I think this actually is a Speedster deck. This is such a weird deck with a bunch of weak cards in it. We're going to a real shop right after this, so I could pick up Anchor. Anchor is nice with, the question mark Anchor is nice with Apotheosis, because it's going to make it a lot easier for us to... take a little bit less damage on the first turn. Is it worth 57? I think it is. We can still remove a strike at the shop, so I'm going to go ahead and buy that, and then we'll go here, and then see if we regret that. Dodge and Roll is a nice find. Accuracy is pretty important to this deck, so I probably have to buy the Accuracy. So I am going to do that, and then do I want another Dodge and Roll? Do I want Thinking Ahead? It works with Speedster. It also becomes not exhausted when upgraded. So I think I will buy the Thinking Ahead here over the Dodge and Roll. We already have a decent number of blocking cards. And then, of course, we want Accuracy because it's going to double all the damage of all of my Shiv cards, doubles the damage of Knife Trap, which is particularly important. Then we'll go here. Alright, hopefully I draw Piercing Wail. This is a fight where Apotheosis is sort of unplayable on the first turn. Let me start by playing Acrobatics into Reflex, because I need to draw my Piercing Wail if I can. And we'll discard Reflex, drawing 2 more cards. I can't play Thinking Ahead yet. I can play Neutralize, and that decreases incoming damage a little bit. I can play Thinking Ahead now, and we'll put something on top. Okay, I'll put my Apotheosis on top, because I didn't play it this turn. And then I'm going to play Piercing Wail, preventing a bunch of damage, costing enemies 8 strength this turn. And then I need to still play Dodge and Roll. So I didn't get to play any of my powers, basically, but at least I got Dodge and Roll into play. And then here, I'm going to play Apotheosis, and then I'll play Defend, Strike on the one that has increased strength, and Survivor. And then I do lose 2 max HP. Oh, no, wait, because of the Tungsten Rod. So that actually worked out really well. Let's start with Prepared here, and then we'll discard Untouchable, and what else do I want to discard? I guess if I play Hidden Daggers, is that lethal on the enemy this turn? I don't believe so, but I still need to start trying to kill it, so I am going to discard Tools of the Trade. We don't want to go for a long fight. We want to try to win the fight relatively quickly. And let's go ahead and chip away at that enemy here. Keep our 2 Blur. And then this turn, I have not enough block, so I'm going to play Footwork, I'm going to play Defend, and I'm going to play Strike. And now we're losing a lot of health. This deck is starting to get a little bit rough around the edges, because we just have so many of these Shiv cards in the deck that just don't do anything most of the time. We drew our Adrenaline here, and then I'm going to play Acrobatics, discarding a Defend. I need to play a Strike here, and I need to play enough block that I can avoid losing any more health in this fight, and we'll play an Infinite Blades, which will set me up to guarantee lethal next turn. Alright, so I lost a bunch of health in this last fight, but we did get there. Take the Fortifier Potion. I will pass on another Deflect. I definitely don't need that. And then, do I want an upgraded Dodge and Roll? Do I want Blade Dance or Haze? I do think one more Dodge and Roll is going to be important to the deck. We just need a little more density of block. I think we're going to skip this Elite, and we'll go to the right here, because I can always go to this Elite if I want to, but mostly, we have a lot of relics. I can go to a campsite and dig up another relic, so I don't really need to take Elite fights, and our deck is okay against Elites, but not amazing. Let's go ahead and play Apotheosis, and then I'll play Tools of the Trade and Infinite Blades here. Really wish I had a Lantern. We'll discard Strike. Then I'm going to play Speedster. And I'll play Thinking Ahead. And I'll put a Strike on top, because I need to play a couple other cards. Actually, let's put something good on top. So I'm going to play Survivor, I'm going to play Dodge and Roll, and I'm going to play Blur. So I'll put Accuracy on top. That's something that is generally a fairly consistent weakness in my play, is I put the wrong card on top. I often just sort of automatically select the worst card in my hand, and then I draw it next turn. So something to that I need to work on. Play Adrenaline here, and then I'm going to set up the Accuracy, play the Shiv to clear some space in my hand. We'll play Acrobatics, discarding Reflex. And now the Speedster is starting to go off a little bit. We'll play Footwork. We'll play a Dodge and Roll to set up for next turn. And then I'm going to play Deflect first and then play Acrobatics. And we'll discard a Reflex. Still not quite enough cards in hand. And then I'll play Tools of the Trade. I'll set up another Footwork. I'll play Prepared. Discard some cards. Knife Trap is only 2 Shivs right now, but could be more Shivs, and I guess it will be, because I don't need to play any Defends or anything this turn, so we'll just play some Shivs, and then I'll play Knife Trap. Then we'll discard the Haze, and I'll discard a Strike. I want to discard a Strike so I can actually play one of these Slimes, because I could draw a 0-cost card, and it's 2 damage. which is still fine. And then we'll play our SHIV, and we'll play our Defends. Alright, it's coming together a little better here. This turn, I'm going to discard Piercing Whale and Slime, because I'm not going to play either of those. I'll play the Deflect, and I'll play Acrobatics, and I guess it's okay to just discard the Untouchable here. I could play another Acrobatics, which I will, and that was what I was worried about, discarding Reflex, so we're only drawing one card. And then I can play a Dodge and Roll or a Blur. I guess Blur is better, so I'll play that. Play a Prepared as well. And we'll keep cycling. Oh, I forgot to play that SHIV. Whoops. Should have definitely done that. I don't want to discard the SHIV. I want to discard a couple Slimes, and I'll play the SHIV here. Then I'm going to play a Neutralize. I'm going to play Thinking Ahead, and I'll put a Slimed on top of the deck. And then here I can go with Knife Trap and Strike and win the fight. Alright, and we took 0 damage in that fight at least. Another Hidden Daggers. That's fairly interesting, as is another Haze. Haze, of course, an upgraded Haze especially. Goes very well with the Haze we already have, good with the Snecko Skull, good with all of our tools of the trade, etc. Hidden Daggers is pretty powerful as well for this deck, letting us set up more Knife Traps and play our Sly cards for free. I think this deck actually wants a Hidden Daggers, and then I definitely am going to take another Accuracy. It's very important to make my SHIVs actually do something when we play a bunch of them. And then here, let's go ahead and dig up a Relic. And we got a Planisphere, sure. And then I can go here and get another Relic, and we got a Whetstone, which is just going to upgrade some of my strikes, sadly. Then we'll go to this campsite, and we'll dig up yet another Relic. And we got Miniature Cannon, which with Apotheosis is just plus 3 damage to all of our SHIVs, because it upgrades all my SHIVs as well. I think I don't need to take any elite fights or anything. I think our deck is, now that we have the extra accuracies and everything, I'm just going to go down the right-hand side here and minimize the amount of fights that we take. I will take 64 gold here. We'll get that health back, and we're going to a shop. And we can maybe buy something good. A Calculated Gamble is good. A Fasten is really good. This is, of course, even though Fasten was nerfed down to only plus 4 block. I could also add yet another Infinite Blades. Backflip wouldn't be terrible either. Some really interesting options for this shop as well. I think that with double Footwork, I don't need Fasten as badly. And my deck is enormous, right? We have 40 cards in deck, so drawing our Defends is less likely. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the Calculated Gamble to be able to draw into my good cards a little more easily. Now, do I want a Backflip as well? It works with our Fresnel Lens. I could trade out a potion for a vulnerable potion. Obviously, Fasten's a broken card, but at this point in the game, it's just not what we need. How many block cards do I have in the deck? What's my ratio here? So that's 5, 6, 7. Sword of Piercing Whale is 8. 9. And 10, 11, 12. I might be missing 1 or 2. So the deck does, I think, want 1 more block card in it. Basically, I usually want to have my deck be about 1/3 block cards on the silent, and so it's not like a hard and fast rule, but it's a decent ratio. So I do think adding a Backflip into the deck is going to be fine. Downgrading 2 random cards. I could duplicate my deck, and this deck is enormous, so duplicating it would give me 4 Footworks, 4 in total, 4 Footworks, 4 Accuracies, a lot of Acrobatics. It makes it less likely to draw our cards at the right time. It also clogs my hand with double innate Apotheosis, so our opening hand is going to be a lot worse if I duplicate it. I think I have to do this. Alright, downgrading the Footwork isn't terrible. And of course we're also upgrading our cards as well. If Apotheosis wasn't an innate card, I might have... Oh, nice. This is going to make the first boss fight a little easier as well. Though, I haven't fought the newly changed Eon Glass either. So, I fought it in its old form, but haven't fought it in its new form. So we may be save scumming one more fight here. And then, let's go ahead and dig up one more relic. We still have a weirdly high number of strikes in the deck, so I guess Strike Dummy is going to do something. And then we're going to go into another boss fight here. Infinite Blades getting upgraded and being innate is actually a little bit rough. But let's go with Apotheosis first, of course. And then I'm going to play Prepared because it's free. Discard Reflex and Strike, which I'm never playing this turn. Definitely getting Tools of the Trade into play. Definitely playing the Neutralize. It does waste my Pen Nib trigger, but I think that's fine. And I try to save my potions for next fight as well, because we have the T-set buff this fight, and we don't have it next fight. Also, I think the Beating Remnant melts after this fight. Not that that's that important. Alright, so here I'm going to start with Backflip, because that is all the block that I need. And then I can set up both Infinite Blades here. Play a Hidden Daggers as well. And we'll play a couple Shivs. Chains of Binding is obviously dangerous for this deck, but having all these free Shivs and having... excuse me. And having Tools of the Trade in the deck is going to make it a lot easier. So I'm going to discard one of these. Which one am I not playing? I'm probably playing Footwork to maximize my block here. So I'll discard Speedster. And then I'll play Footwork, play Defend, play Blur, and then we'll play a Strike. And a couple more Shivs. And then here, I'm going to discard, of course, Reflex to my Tools of the Trade. And we'll get the second Tools of the Trade in play. Of my bound cards, I want to play Accuracy. So I'm going to get that into play as well. This is a good turn to Piercing Wail, or I could wait until we go to the Queen, because the Queen's attacks are all multi-attacks. I think we'll have enough block this turn that I don't need to use Piercing Wail. Let's play a couple Shivs, get those out of the deck, and then I'm going to play Acrobatics and see what we draw into. Can just discard this Bound Strike. I'll play Adrenaline as well. Kind of wish I had the Speedster in play, but we couldn't get that and Footwork into play, so I wanted the Footwork. I'll play Footwork here. I'll play Survivor, discarding Untouchable. By the way, the Bound effect, you can't use Sly to bypass it. You can only play one Bound card, even if you discard a Sly card. Very important. But the Calculated Gamble having Retain means it'll stay in my hand to be playable next turn. So, just some important interactions to be aware of. And then, yeah, I'm just going to play that. Let my dodge and roll go off this turn. And then we'll discard, of course, Haze. And what else am I discarding? I want to keep the Ascender's Bane in hand. I want to play Thinking Ahead or Hidden Daggers. Which of these am I going to play? Probably the Hidden Daggers, because I do want to play Knife Trap this turn if possible. So let's discard the Thinking Ahead. And then I can play Shiv and Shiv. And then Knife Trap is 8 Shivs. My Shivs do 6 damage, plus some of them are upgraded. The Knife Trap is going to upgrade them all. So they're doing 6 damage plus 3 damage plus 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 10 damage per Shiv. So this is 80 damage from the Knife Trap. So then with Hidden Daggers and Accuracy, that's way more than enough damage to kill the Torch Head. So I'm going to do that. We'll play Hidden Daggers, discarding Calculated Gamble and Strike. Actually, I'm going to discard the Ascender's Bane. It won't etherealize, but I want to retain calculated gamble here. And then, oh right, and this one has a pen nib bonus. So I don't need to hit the torch head with the upgraded SHIV, so let's hit the queen with that one, and then we'll hit this one, and then we'll hit the torch head. Oh wait, I fully miscounted how much damage. I could have done a little more to the queen. I forgot I was playing the second accuracy as well. Alright, this turn we're going to be discarding Reflex and one of the bound strikes. Play Neutralize here. I will play Thinking Ahead. I'll play my 2 SHIVs first, just to get them out of the hand. I'll play Thinking Ahead. I will put a... I'm going to play Survivor into Reflex, so it doesn't matter what I put on top. I'll put a Defend on top. Play Deflect. Play Survivor into Reflex. Play Dodge and Roll. I don't need to use Piercing Wail this turn. I could Calculated Gamble to try to draw into some more offensive cards, but I'm fine just stalling the fight one more turn. Here, we have no Sly cards in hand. That's funny. So I'll discard Defend and Acrobatics, because I'm going to try to play the Knife Trap here. And then we'll play SHIV, and I'll play Prepared. Discarding Haze and Strike. And then I need to play Acrobatics. And we'll discard... I guess if I'm playing Knife Trap, I would be taking a bunch of damage to play Knife Trap. So let's just, well, we'll discard the Strike here, because I'm never playing that. But the question is, am I playing Dodge and Roll plus Blur and saving Knife Trap? My SHIVs are going to deal 14 damage each. Or no, yeah, they deal 18 damage each from my double accuracies. Is that right? Yeah, 18, 19 damage each because of our +1 strength. Oh no, because we're weakened. So they do a little bit less damage than that. So I don't believe that Knife Trap is lethal, even if I play double Hidden Daggers first. I could use my Vulnerable Potion to make it lethal, but I think we can just cycle through and draw a Knife Trap again later. So I'm just going to play these 2 cards. I'll play Hidden Daggers, discard the other Hidden Daggers and the Knife Trap, and we'll play a couple SHIVs. Okay, so 16 damage on the SHIVs, all told, after the weakness effect. That one, I could have maybe done the math more aggressively. I'll discard Untouchable here. No, I don't need to discard Untouchable. I'll discard Defend and Deflect. Because I want to get Speedster into play here, and I want to play Backflip after Speedster, probably. But let's play SHIV. We'll play Speedster. And I guess Cloak and Dagger is still more damage than Backflip with Speedster, so I can do that and play a couple SHIVs. And then we can cycle through looking for our Knife Trap, which is now guaranteed to be lethal. We'll discard these 2 cards. Not sure if I had lethal previously. Somebody feel free to do the math in the comments. But we didn't end up taking any damage. And then we can Knife Trap, killing the queen. Alright, so now to try the new Eon Glass fight. But we took a 0 damage fight against the queen. So, let's look at this. So, Withering Presence. Every 6 cards you play, add a Wither to your hand. It's an unplayable card. At the end of your turn, if it's in your hand, take 3 damage. But it no longer retains, which is important. I'm going to take a big hit this turn, because I do, of course, want to play Apotheosis. So, I'm going to do that. We'll play Apotheosis. I could play Defend and then use my Fortifier Potion, just to avoid taking damage on this turn. That seems fine. Use this, and then we take no damage. I mean, preventing, like, 20 damage with the Fortifier is pretty good. Alright, so here I lost a bunch of Strength and Dexterity. So let's start with Acrobatics. And I'll discard... I could discard Reflex, I could discard Haze. I don't have another... I don't have another discard outlet in hand. So I think I will still discard the reflex here. And then I have 10 total cards in hand. I want to play at least something, so I'm going to play Deflect. It does count down towards giving me a Wither. And we have no way to exhaust cards in this deck currently. So it is a little worse to have the Wither. I'm going to play Adrenaline because I want to set up some of these powers this turn. And then we'll play Footwork. Oh wait, so I filled my hand there. And then the Wither just went into the discard. So that's actually a useful thing to be aware of, is that if you trigger Wither when your hand is full, it just goes into the discard. Let's play Footwork here. And then I'll play Thinking Ahead. And I'll put, what do I want on top of the deck? I could play Calculated Gamble to play Haze and just get a bunch of other cards played. In which case I would just put anything on top of the deck, because we'd be redrawing it. I could... What else could I do this turn? I want to get Accuracy and Infinite Blades into play. So let's put Accuracy on top of the deck. Let's play Infinite Blades. And then I'm going to play Calculated Gamble here. I could play Hidden Daggers first, but that's not card positive. So let's play Calculated Gamble. Plays Haze for free. Now here, unfortunately, I'm going to not be able to fill my hand before I play the Wither. But that's okay. We're going to play Tools of the Trade. And we have a Wither in hand. I could take a bunch of damage here to get Speedster and double Accuracy into play. Let's start with Prepared. And I guess I discard Reflex and Wither. Oh, I suppose I should have played Speedster first if I was playing Speedster. I think we're not playing it this turn, though. The Speedster has not worked out, because I need some block this turn. So let's go ahead and play Neutralize, and we'll play Accuracy, Accuracy, Cloak and Dagger. That puts a Wither in hand, which is fine. I'll play my 2 SHIVs. 24 damage incoming. I can play Survivor, discarding the Wither. And then I can play Hidden Daggers as well, discard a couple more cards, and we'll play some SHIVs. And I do get 1 Wither in hand, take a little bit of damage, but that's okay. So the deck is getting filled with Withers. Now this is an advantage of having a huge deck like this, is that doesn't matter at all. I'll discard Untouchable. It is 1 more card play for Wither, so maybe I'm supposed to discard Strike instead and not play it. But if I draw into Blur... no, it's impossible to draw into Blur. So I should have discarded the Strike, actually. But let's play Tools of the Trade. We'll play SHIV. We'll play Backflip. And I will trigger a Wither to get 2 dodge and rolls set up for next turn, because the enemy's doing a buff, which I don't know what the buff is, because like I mentioned, I haven't played against this version of the boss before. Okay, so it's now doing Wither plus 1s, which is 6 incoming damage. So let's discard Wither and Strike. And I'm going to get the Speedster into play now. I'll play Prepared. Discard Reflex and the Wither. Okay, it upgraded all the Withers, not just the ones that were already in the deck. 36 incoming damage, so I can block all but 1 of it with Backflip, or I can block all of it with Survivor. Let's play the SHIV here. I'll play Thinking Ahead as well. I'm going to put Wither on top of the deck. No, I don't care about the Wither. I'm going to put Cloak and Dagger on top of the deck, and then I'll Survivor, discarding Reflex, I think. And we'll just take a little bit of extra damage from these 2 Withers. What would I be hoping to draw into if I do that, though? Because I could also Survivor discarding a Wither to save more health. That seems better, actually, than playing the Reflex here. We just take 6 this turn. And then this turn, I can discard 2 Withers. I can play Acrobatics. And we'll discard another Wither. Finally drew my other Footwork, so I'm going to get that into play. And this does mean I'm going to be taking a pretty substantial hit this turn. but having the second footwork in play is going to help a lot in future turns, so very important to do that. And I'm going to play the defend over the Cloak and Dagger, because I can't afford to play 2 Shivs this turn and take a huge hit. Then I'm going to discard Haze here, and I'll discard Strike. We'll neutralize the enemy. So we actually can apply the weakness now because I've removed its artifact. I'm going to throw the vulnerable potion as well, because I'm going to play Knife Trap, so that's just going to be a lot of damage here. And then we're going to fill our hand with Withers if I play Knife Trap, but I think that that's okay. Because now the enemy's down to 43, and with an Infinite Blades in play... Okay, it does do a lot of blocking this turn, but we can discard the +2 Wither and the Untouchable. My Shivs are 17 damage each, and I can play 2 more. I'm always playing this Shiv, I'm always playing Acrobatics, and I'll discard this Wither here. I have double Hidden Daggers, so that should be lethal. So we're going to play Hidden Daggers, discard some cards, and we'll play a couple of Shivs, and win the fight against the new Eon Glass. All right, so that was cool. Obviously, and then having won this fight, I'm going to give up the run because I don't want to mess up my stats, because we lost the run, because I died to the Infested Prism, and, you know, I prefer to have my stats accurately reflect whether I won or lost. But that was a really fun run. Let's look at the deck before I hit the give up button. So the weakness of this deck was that it was pretty reliant on a bunch of cards that are individually not that strong. But we were able to put together a winning deck out of it regardless. And having, once I was able to navigate the Infested Prism fight, because I had, you know, I understood the mechanics the second time around, the deck actually came together really well in Act 3. And the advantage of the like Knife Trap stuff is that it does work very well once it's fully online. It's just getting to that point that it can be somewhat difficult. But once you get there, you do a ton of damage. This was a weird and fun deck, 42 cards in hand, 42 cards in deck, having Apotheosis, having Knife Trap. Obviously, the like really big things about this deck, where we had double Acrobatics, double Reflex, double Tools of the Trade, and double Footwork, like any deck with those is going to win, even if, regardless of what your actual win condition is. Although I did throw the run by dying to an enemy that I hadn't seen before. All right, my friends, hope that you enjoyed this run. And of course, if you have, then feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Let me know if you want to see things like that Save Scummed combat, or if you prefer to just play it completely straight. You know, if you lose interest in the run after that something like that happens, then that's valuable for me to know as well. Or if you enjoyed seeing this run played out, even though I died earlier, then that's also valuable to know. As always, of course, you can hit the like button, leave a comment, helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Slay the Spire 2 and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time, and let's hit the give up button here.